Coming to you live from the palatial studios of PBJ Productions. Welcome to Patrick and BJ Talk Real Estate, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything as it relates to real estate. Hey everybody, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're back talking all things real estate. Want to thank you for joining us on this episode. And also want to thank, Patrick and I were just talking about this, is we want to take a minute and just thank all of those that have reached out to us and connected with us in any way. I just had a business sale, a cafe in Saanich. So I want to thank those people that reached out to us, and I was able to help them. And
we're just working on an accepted offer, a deal on a home in Ladysmith. So we're not quite near the end of the finish line, but thank you so much for reaching out, and all the other people that have asked questions and started the process of either selling their home or looking for a home.
Yeah, so that being said, let's get right into it. We want to talk today about rent to own. So we hear lots of stuff about rent to own. It's good, it's bad, don't do it, do it. But let's break down some of the details, because right now there's a rent to own program it's Kelowna, right?
Kelowna, not that you couldn't do it.
I mean, you can do it anywhere,
but yeah. Kelowna has a special program.
Yeah,
this is kind of interesting. I like that it's proactive. It's trying to get first-time home buyers into the market, or really renters, to convert renters into owners.
Yeah,
and they have a building over there that's priced just under $300,000. Now these are small condo units, and $300,000 seems like it's a pretty easier threshold to gain home ownership.
Sure.
The thing is, they'll let you do it with 1% down. Okay. So you would rent for 3 years.
Okay.
All your rent, you would rent at market rates.
Yeah.
All your rent goes towards your down payment. And then
all of your rent.
All of your rent.
Now that'll be interesting to see, because I know in the past, when I've looked at it, it's usually a percentage of your rent goes towards your down payment. Exactly.
That's how I've seen it normally done, right?
Yeah.
So that's how their program is working. So that's okay. In 3 years, you're expected to close the deal and be able to finance the rest of the purchase. Now, the Conservative Party of BC, what are they called? It sounds like a soccer team now, right?
BC United or something
BC
like
United,
that? Yeah.
Right? I feel like, we need to have like
a flag and start
Tenants shirts,
right?
Something, paint my face, right? Feels like a soccer team. So one of the suggested solutions for our housing crisis in BC is this rent-to-own program. But they're saying, they would say the developers would set aside 15% in participating housing projects for the first-time home buyer only. Okay, fine. And then same idea, 3 years to complete, pay mortgage rates, and 100% is applied towards your down payment. Again, now this would constitute that the developer would have to wait for basically the last 15-20% is their profit.
Yes.
Now they want them to wait for 3 years to get that back.
Right.
Now we were talking earlier, has to be some sort of...
There's some motivation for the developer.
Yeah.
Because they've got to pay their staff, they've got to take care of all of the costs and everything else. And sure. Yeah. And I think the other thing that comes with this, and we'll get to the article here on Kelowna, the one thing I saw is there's some concern from some builders with the interest rates and their costs.
Oh, in the meantime, this 3-year gap. Oh, go ahead, keep going.
Just that these builders, there's some builders that have and I believe it's a very real concern. If my costs are suddenly up to here because of interest rates, where did my profit go?
Okay.
And I want us to understand something. Profit is not a dirty word. The developers have taken on a risk and are doing this. Sure, they want to help people, but there's a business plan that has them making some amount of money. Maybe it's not an exorbitant sum or something like that, but there's some amount of...
But there's an educated guess. Speculation. We need speculators up to some degree in the market of making a profit.
Yeah.
Or they won't do it. They'll go find something else to do.
Yeah.
And we don't have homes built without that.
Right.
Okay. I want to ask you, do you think rent to own is a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it depends on the situation of the individual involved and what percentage you're getting.
Okay.
Okay. So it's essentially forced savings is what rent to own is. You're forced to save for your down payment.
Okay.
So if you're in a situation where,
Like we described, yeah.
yeah, if you're in a situation like that and that's what you need to get you there, okay. At least you're living in your home, though it's not technically yours until
Yeah.
everything else gets done, but at least you're living in it, and the numbers have to make sense, obviously. And you're being, I think the other thing it does is it nails you down to some fiscal responsibility. I'm not going
It
to,
might force you to better budget yourself.
yeah, and even things like, well, maybe I'm not going to buy the boat because I'm going to have a mortgage to sign off on in 2 years.
Right. So, well, yeah. No, that's very good.
Right.
As you're saying that, as you said that, I was thinking, oh, wait a minute, that's a really good point. Just thinking when you have a deadline,
Right?
you have a finish line, just thinking about fitness. Right.
Sure.
If you have fitness goals and there's
Yeah.
something that, you have to do this marathon, half marathon, 10K, it's
Yeah.
like you're going to get out and change your behavior so you can not embarrass yourself.
100%.
Or fail.
You know, I'll give you an example. I have a competition in November,
Yeah.
and so I have about 3 weeks-ish, 2 to 3 weeks left of workouts before we start the first leg of the pre-contest
Oh,
diet.
yeah. Get all that ice cream in now.
Oh, it's not the ice cream. You know what hits me as I'm at the gym is I need to make every one of these workouts count.
Yeah.
I need to come in here
So
and I need to dial it in and be focused on what I'm doing here.
That's exactly my point of like having a deadline.
Right.
Right.
Because I have a deadline.
Yeah.
Right. I can't put it off. So the same thing, I think what it does is it, as you as the home buyer, it says, okay, well, not only am I forced to save, because that's what we're doing, I'm also forced to maintain some kind of budget and some kind of spending methodology that allows me in 3 years to qualify for a mortgage.
You know what? I'm glad you said that because I'm changing my mind as I hear this.
Yeah.
Because I'm absolutely against rent to own.
Okay.
But I think that is a good point. If somebody knows that they can have the discipline to follow through on it, then there's going to be a margin of the population that it will benefit.
Yeah.
I think it's a very high risk way to buy a house.
I would agree. I like I said, it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
And depends on your situation and what you're in. But for some people, if that's what's going to if that's what's going to put the brass tacks to it for them, that they're going to do it, then that's my take on it. In general, as a general rule, when my clients have asked me about it and I've explained it to them, they've been like, oh no, that's not something that we want to do.
Great. So let's break it down very quickly, right? So let's say you're currently renting and your landlord is thinking about selling the property.
Yeah.
And you have a chat with your landlord and say, hey, look, I love this house. It'd be better if we didn't move. You would end up agreeing on a price that you would pay, let's say, in 3 years.
Yeah.
And maybe you would adjust your rental agreement that you're paying 115% of the market rent. So you're going to increase your rent. That extra 15% will go towards your down payment.
Right.
Now, interesting that you mentioned interest rates. We don't know what interest rates are going to look like in 3 years.
Yeah.
We don't know if you're going to have the same job. We don't know if you're going to be bankrupt. We don't know if you're going to be married still. We don't know. We just don't know those things in 3 years.
Sure.
So you're going to make all these extra payments on an agreement that you're going to purchase the home in 3 years at a certain price.
Yeah.
You may not qualify today. You might not even qualify in 3 years to purchase that home at that agreed price. And the landlord would probably want a greater than market value in 3 years.
Yeah, they would.
They don't want to undersell it.
Yeah, they're going to prorate
wait 3 years.
Yeah, you're going to prorate the price right up front.
So
because of the service I'm offering you.
Yeah, you're paying extra.
You're going to pay extra.
And if you break your rental agreement, you don't get any of the money back.
Yeah, and that all comes down to how the agreement is written.
You won't get it back, and if you do not follow through with it for whatever reason at the end of the 3 years, do you renegotiate? Now you're still
Well,
paying a premium,
what-
hoping that
Yeah,
you
so-
could recover and purchase.
Yeah, so
I think
here's-
there's a lot of variables.
Yeah, I was going to say,
that long timeline.
and as far as the renegotiation part, I think it's easier to do that when you're dealing with a landlord versus a developer.
Oh yeah, developers. You're gonna look at the new rate of like, oh well, if I not extend the deal, they're looking at the new market rates might
Right.
be higher.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah. So there's a lot of risk in
yeah,
there.
there's. I think so. My take on rent to own, I'm generally not a fan, but I think in the right circumstance, in the right situation, for the right clients, it can, or the right people, it can make sense for them. It will do the things I talked about. It will force you to save.
Yeah,
So it's
I like
forced
that.
savings. So that's coming right off the top when you pay your rent. A percentage of that is basically going into savings. And it's going to force you to have some kind of budget restraint system methodology in which you're going to qualify for that mortgage in 3 years.
Those are all the things I like about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree with you on the other side of it, that there's a whole lot of variables that they could easily go who knows where.
The other direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're really interested in getting into the details about that, don't call me. Call a lawyer. It's a very complicated way of buying a home.
Yeah.
And,
And that would be something if we had clients dealing
I don't want
with
to
it.
turn down business.
Yeah, but if we had clients dealing with it, I would be referring you. I'd help you as much as I could, but I would be referring you at some point to
To a lawyer.
To a lawyer.
anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to review the contracts and all of those things. And
So very interesting efforts from Kelowna. That's
Yeah.
awesome. You know, if BC
Yeah.
United has that, that's fine too. I don't think it's going to be like the magic bullet.
sure, and I think we've talked about this quite a bit too. There's not a magic bullet here, but we're at least seeing that there's some creative thought going in, problem-solving ideas, things like that aren't just about taxes.
You know what? It's funny. Like maybe it's a consequence of committing to a rent-to-own program that would give you the habits and discipline to achieve that deadline.
Sure.
And really, the success really comes from the habits and discipline of your budget and choices.
Yep.
If home ownership is important enough to you.
Yeah, 100%.
So you know, really, I think that's my takeaway from this.
Yeah.
Is with or without a rent-to-own program, are those qualities that take it to becoming a homeowner.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you for joining us today. That was, that was probably a little bit more. You might be like, I don't know. It was. I thought it was a very interesting piece. We didn't get to the whole article from Kelowna, but like I said,
Those are the highlights.
Yeah, I appreciate that they're trying to solve the problem and do something. I'm going to come back to what I've always said. If you want to make housing more affordable, you need to make it easier for the builders and developers to build. Right?
Yeah.
Not 10 years and $1 million and you haven't broken ground yet.
Yeah.
What would I be talking about there?
Oh, yeah, there's at least a handful of examples that I can talk about
but
right now.
There's the big one that everybody talks about here in Victoria right now down at the harbor. So,
yeah.
But anyway, thank you all for joining us today. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you hanging out with us and talking about, the real estate market, everything else. And if you haven't, please take a minute and subscribe to the channel. We are putting out 4+ episodes every week, so you want to make sure that you don't miss anything and you don't miss out on any of the value that we're bringing to you. And if there's somebody that you think would appreciate or benefit from what we talk about, send them the link and tell them all about what we've got going on.
Yeah, and thank you for everyone for reaching out to us that we're currently working with now, and even just having a conversation and answering questions and helping you on your journey, if that's selling your home to a bigger home or downsizing or your first home, and hey, even in investments and businesses as well.
Absolutely. So remember, same bat time, same bat channel.
See ya.
See ya.